know if you guys caught the CNN town hall last night with AOC and Bernie Sanders, but I sure did. And it's very clear that they are now the leaders of the Democrat Party. And the Democrats are in complete disarray.
And then you got Karoline Leavitt, who's sick. She's out of control. And I'm not sure whether she's just demented, ignorant, a stone cold liar, or all of the above. But the notion that an official White House spokesperson would say that the Democratic Party consists of terrorists, violent criminals, and undocumented immigrants, this makes no sense.
Tensions between the White House and House Democrats have exploded into a full-blown war of words as the government shutdown drags into its fourth week. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt fired back at House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries after he called her sick, out of control, and possibly demented. Leavitt hit back sharply, saying, "Hakeem and Democrats are lashing out because they know what I said is true." She accused the Democratic Party of catering to pro-Hamas radicals, illegal aliens, and violent criminals, pointing out that House Democrats even voted against a resolution condemning Hamas after the October 7th attacks. Leavitt went further, blaming Democrats for opening the borders, coddling criminals, and supporting soft-on-crime policies like cashless bail. Then, in a personal attack, she called Jeffries an America Last, stone-cold loser, demanding that Democrats open up the government and stop simping for the radical left.
Does the White House have a response to the court case that prevented your shutdown rifts going through? Does that take away the president's leverage to end the shutdown?
I'm so glad you asked, because I have a very strong response. This is another far-left partisan judge who was smacked down by the Supreme Court in July for ruling on this exact same thing. In May, this judge tried to say that the President of the United States does not have the executive authority to hire and fire in the executive branch. Literally, nobody would ever try to make that argument except for someone who is extremely partisan. And of course, the Supreme Court rejected that ruling in July, and they said, no, the president does have the ability and the legal authority to fire people from the federal government. That is a responsibility of his job as the head of the executive branch. And so you have the same judge going back to the bench and ruling on the basis of politics. We are 100% confident we will win this on the merits of the law, and these layoffs are an unfortunate consequence of the government shutdown. We are now on day 16 of this Democrat shutdown. Democrats just voted again for the 10th time to keep the government closed and to keep the American people hostage. And we're seeing the consequences of it every day. We've had thousands of flights delayed and canceled. Air traffic controllers, TSA agents continue to work without pay. The president tapped into tariff revenue to keep WIC money for women and infants and children going out the door. The president found a creative solution to keep the troops paid. And rather than congratulate the president for doing that, this unprecedented action to get our troops paid, the Democrats want to sue him for it. They're saying that it's illegal. This just shows they don't care about the people who are hurting. They are shutting down the government purely for partisan politics because they don't like Donald Trump. And the only people that are suffering from that are federal government employees who are being laid off from their jobs, who are not being paid for their jobs, our military, our federal law enforcement, and the American people who can't catch a plane with holiday season coming up because flights are being delayed and canceled. Democrats need to do the right thing. And I don't know if you guys caught the CNN town hall last night with AOC and Bernie Sanders, but I sure did. And it's very clear that they are now the leaders of the Democrat Party. And the Democrats are in complete disarray. And we hope a few moderate Democrats with some common sense will step up to the plate and do the right thing to vote to open the federal government.
Jeffries earlier blasted Republicans for what he called desperate distractions. He singled out Leavitt by name, saying, "She's sick, out of control, and either ignorant, a liar, or all of the above."
Do you have any information or update or anything about this bizarre happenings with flags and maybe one flag and a swastika and now potentially more flags? Has anybody given you any information about that?
We've not gotten any information specifically from the Speaker or from House Republican leadership, although it is a matter of deep concern. Like, we've already seen a rise in political violence, and hatred in America. And then you've got swastikas apparently appearing in the offices of Republican members of Congress. You've got young Republicans engaging in the most anti-Semitic and racist speech possible. Like, this is apparently who many of these people are. They are ripping the sheets off in plain view of the American people. Their words, their actions, revealing themselves in so many different ways. And then you got Karoline Leavitt, who's sick, she's out of control. And I'm not sure whether she's just demented, ignorant, a stone cold liar, or all of the above. But the notion that an official White House spokesperson would say that the Democratic Party consists of terrorists, violent criminals, and undocumented immigrants, this makes no sense. That this is what the American people are getting from the Trump administration in the middle of a shutdown. So their actions continue to speak for themselves, which is why they're on the wrong side of public sentiment. We're going to continue to stand up for the American people, cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save health care. We've made that position very clear from the beginning, and we're not moving, we're not going to bend, we're not going to break, because it's the health care of the American people that's at stake. And all of these efforts to try to intimidate Democratic members of the House and the Senate are not going to work, because we are on the side of the American people. And much of the action that the Trump administration is taking, of course, is unlawful and illegal. As a federal judge in Northern California found with respect to the dismissals of about 4,000 or so federal employees, that was found to be unlawful. And so these threats to try to back us off our position, it's not working and it's not going to happen, because there is a Republican healthcare crisis that is devastating the American people, and we're going to continue to stand up for everyday Americans. Showing up to express dissent against an out-of-control administration, that's as American as motherhood, baseball, and apple pie. That's the First Amendment. And the notion that this unhinged White House spokesperson would suggest that that's hateful. That's not hateful. What's hateful is what happened on January 6th. That was a Hate America rally sponsored by Donald Trump and his sycophants who incited a violent mob to storm the Capitol. That's what hate looks like. What you'll see this weekend is what patriotism looks like. People showing up to express opposition to the extremism that Donald Trump has been unleashing on the American people, and Donald Trump's failures, the Republican failure to keep their core promise. Because you know what their core promise was last year? They were going to lower the high cost of living. They haven't lowered the high cost of living. Costs haven't gone down on day one as they promised. They lied to the American people. Costs have gone up. Inflation has gone up. Grocery prices out of control. Housing costs out of control. Electricity bills skyrocketing. And now, because Republicans refused to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for working class Americans, middle class Americans, and everyday Americans, health insurance premiums are about to blow through the roof, bankrupt people, and prevent them from being able to see a doctor when they need one.